gangway. Puerto Rico. Here we go, walking down the pier. All the shore excursions are at the end of the walk to the right. So I'm assuming where those little white tents are. Meeting everybody at 8:40, user-friendly. A lot of people stand right at the very end of the walkway, and they'll ask you, what excursion you have, and then they just point you in the right direction. And here we are. We're waiting in line for ours, the old and new city tour of San Juan. A few tents and shops, but you could explore, but I don't see too much. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's where we're at right now so far.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. It's even made of the same material as the one in Washington, D.C. The difference is, however, that the names that are on that monument are of all the men and women who were born and raised on this island, served in the United States Armed Forces as U.S. soldiers, and died during the period of World War I on up. Before I even start, allow me to introduce myself. Permítame presentarme. My name is Hector. Hello.
Hi, Hector.
My pleasure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to have my bus stop. We're not walking out right now. Stop so you can see what's going on in this area here. Isn't this strange? Huh? Ladies and gentlemen, right to your left, all these tents that you see, these are not homeless people. These are not derelicts. These are teachers. These are firemen, these are policemen, these are nurses, these are government workers who've had enough BS for decades from these animals. Excuse me, sorry. I didn't mean that. It's just for a decent wage going on 30, 40 years, man. They ticked off. We do it the right way, now we're going to stay. They've been here a few months. That's what's going on here. Now I'm going to get to the historical part, okay? For all intended purposes, this is our Washington, D.C. area. That building you see to your left, Capitol Hill. But we call it in Spanish, El Capitolio. Would you repeat that word for me, please? El Capitolio. Which means in Spanish, the Capitol building. That building that you see to your left was inaugurado, 1929. It took approximately 6.5 years to construct. It is made out of 100% marble. Inside and out. The sidewalks, a different type of marble. Right here, different type of marble, but marble. Every window you see, this is the main entrance, if you will. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. For those who are on the left-hand side of this bus right here, when we turn around, you'll be able to get a better glimpse of this, okay? You're welcome, sure. But take a look at the wall. By the way, what a view. Forget about it. Let me pause here. Are you guys fed up with an ocean view? No. Thank God. Look at the wall that surrounds this city. This wall that you see to your right varies in height, but not in width. The thickness of those walls all between 18 to 20 feet thick. And they were built to protect this city from sea attacks. Do we have that so far? Good. Muy bien. Now you're going to see a small little town to your right within the old walls. Looks like those Spanish conquistadors played a little basketball in their day too. Now this was a pretty sight at one time. But Hurricane Maria took care of that. This was a beautiful, colorful sight. No rooftops, homes are gone. But this area that you see to your right is a notorious area. An infamous area. The name of the area in Spanish is La Perla. In English, the Pearl. The people that live there, though we are all direct descendants of the Spanish soldiers and conquistadors that arrived on this island for 530 years ago, the people down there are the same descendants of those same soldiers that never left this area to the present day. In other words, centuries among centuries upon centuries, generation upon generation upon generation, they've born, they've lived, they went to school, they met, they got married, made love, worked, and died. One of the requirements to live there, You either have to be born there or be a member of the family there. You just can't come out of the blue and move in. But I will tell you this, as notorious and as infamous as that area is down there, believe me when I tell you, any one of you on this bus, could go down those streets. Mind you, you may see things that you're not used to seeing. But one thing I can tell you, that no harm would come to you. Because contrary to popular belief, the people down there, they know everybody. And if you're walking down, they won't know you, they'll know you're visiting, they'll teach you with kid gloves. You won't be invading, on the contrary, you're visiting and they're going to treat you with kid gloves. That's La Perla. As a matter of fact, you walk down those streets, the lady of the house will know that you're not from visiting, you're not from here. Will offer you at least a cold glass of water or a hot cup of coffee. That's La Perla.
Alright, getting outside for part of the tour.
Hey, now this is where we were the first trip. Okay.
I assume this is where we're going. It's like some sort of lookout or something.
Okay, please, right over here, folks. Gather around right over here. Muy bien. You know, I usually have 50, 60 people. So I got 24, so it's like more like family, more intimate as far as I'm concerned. Muy bien? Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, antes de comenzar, which means before I even start, feast your eyes at what you see here. Ain't it beautiful? Breathtaking? Yeah. It wasn't like that 520 some odd years ago. This was a place of death and despair for 405 years. But here's where it all started. Aquí donde todo comenzó, as far as our history, our society, la gente puertorriqueña, the Puerto Rican people, here's where it all started. I want to welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen, to the grounds of the first fortress ever built in Puerto Rico. I want to welcome you to the fortress and the grounds thereof, known in Spanish, conocido en español, as San Felipe del Morro, which in English means Saint Philip of the Headland. But throughout the United States and throughout the world, it's more commonly known as El Morro Castle. It was built in 1521. And it was built to protect this city from sea attacks. Now you might be wondering, well, Hector, my goodness gracious, you just pointed out to me the largest fortress in the New World. I had no idea that existed. You're showing me a wall that surrounds the city? I didn't know that either. And you're showing me another fortress? Hey, what was going on around here? I don't recall reading about none of this in my history class. Well, the reason why all this was built was not only to protect this city, but because it is a known fact that all the riches of the New World that was gathered by the Spanish Empire eventually wound up here. Now you say, why, Hector? Oh, because from here, the next actor, his name was Jose Ferrer. Jose Ferrer. He won an Oscar for the movie Cyrano de Bergerac, 1950s, 1940s. Make a long story short, they got married, had many kids. And yes, George Clooney had Puerto Rican cousins. The other actor that's buried there became more popularly known as Gomez Adams in the Addams Family movie. Su nombre, Raúl Julia, next to Angelica Houston, who played Morticia. Now, to make a long story short, Hurricane Maria, I have to bring it up. Hurricane Maria almost killed this whole island. It looked like an atomic bomb hit the island without the explosion. September of 2017. 5 years next September. I didn't have electricity for a year. Nobody had electricity. No water. We were back in the Stone Age. You good?
Yeah.
Mi familia, por favor. You see like jagged edges sticking out of that totem pole? Those things that are sticking out of that pole are pieces of ancient artifacts dug up on archaeological finds on this island. According to the archaeologists, dating back 5,000 years prior to the arrival of the Spanish. When those archaeologists found those pieces, they were in such bad shape, they couldn't use them for anything. What a mess. But somebody in the group says, hey, but we can't throw it away either. We can't get rid of this. Maybe garbage to you, but it's a relic to us. So what the government of Puerto Rico did, got the best artisans of Puerto Rico, artisans, mind you, had that totem pole built, paste those pieces to the totem pole, unveiled that totem pole with this area in 1993. Why? Because this island was discovered in 1493. So 1493, 1993, 500 years, La Plaza Quinto Centenario, or in English, the 5th Centennial Plaza.
Yes.
That's El Morro Castle, that's the end. By the way, anybody ever seen the movie Amistad?
Yes.
It was filmed on location here. With Morgan Freeman, Anthony Hopkins. It was filmed on location here.
Hector, what's the third flag?
Okay, so you got the United States, you got Puerto Rico's flag. The third flag is a white one with a red cross. The red cross is too late. The guy tried to find the fountain of youth in Florida. He was the first governor of this island. He lived there. This was it. We call it in Spanish el totem, the totem pole. There's only one. There it is. By the way, I just want you to know that all the stops that we made, all the stops that we'll make, are authorized by the cruise ship. I don't make the stops up. Yo no me invento la parada. They're authorized by the cruise ship. Why? Because each and every one of you on this bus are insured. What does that mean? It means if I was to take you somewhere that I'm not supposed to take you, but to show you a nice place, and God forbid something happens to one of you, you're not only not taken care of medically, I go to jail. And that ain't gonna happen. Just to let you know. I may be old and ugly, but I ain't stupid. The Bermuda Triangle. Let me tell you something, folks. Many years ago in American Airlines, when I was traveling as a child, I would take the map out of the seat. The Atlantic Ocean had dotted lines. The dotted lines were the Bermuda Triangle. Read it as it may, it covers a vast body of the Atlantic. The Bermuda Triangle is within 3 points. The top point of the Bermuda Triangle is on the island of Bermuda. Duh. The second one is between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. But the third and lowest point of the Bermuda Triangle is the largest fortress ever built in the New World. San Cristobal is not only the largest fortress ever built in the New World, it's the third official point to the Bermuda Triangle. In other words, that immediate body of water there in the Atlantic, that's part of the Bermuda Triangle. If you're old enough to hold an M16 to kill somebody, you should have a drink of it. You might shoot better. We don't need no legislation on that one, and that's why it's 18.
What's 18 states until when?
Okay? And for those who are thinking of having a drink,
Years ago.
later on, try our rum concoctions and our beer. As far as the beer is concerned, I can almost guarantee you that a couple of those, you'll be speaking Spanish in no time. Let me tell you. Hey, forget about it, believe me. Christopher Columbus's plaza to your right. The casino, that was the first casino ever built in Puerto Rico in 1810. Today it's just a landmark, an office building, if you will. And the oldest theater, one of the oldest theaters in the New World. But Hector, this was a war zone area. You're right. But because it was a war zone area, these soldiers that survived or had some time off could either gamble or watch a show. Just like any military base. Now, El Antiguo Casino, the old casino, the first casino ever built in Puerto Rico. Probably one of the oldest in the New World. Now, I'm going to show you some buildings to your left. And of course, the style of architecture, which is basically neo-classical architecture. But by the way, look at that view of that fortress at a distance. It's quite a place. This building that you see to your left with the Greek columns is our Olympic Committee, el Comité Internacional de Olímpico. We don't win no medals, but we got a nice building. Let me tell you. The next building is that would be considered to be a Brookings Institute, a Cato Institute, a think tank for the so-called best minds getting together, figuring things out. They haven't done it yet, but they got a building for that too. This is a Carnegie Library. Andrew Carnegie became the richest man in the world selling U.S. steel to J.P. Morgan. Received $500 million in the 1800s. Made him the richest man in the world. One of the things he did, create 2,300 libraries throughout the world. That one is ours. And also had built Carnegie Library, Carnegie Hall. And then the Queen, La Casa de España. This was the summer home of the King and Queen of Spain. We built it for them, but they never bothered to come. But we built it anyway. Now we use it for special occasions, weddings, things of that, quinceañeros, things of that nature. Termina al final. Al final. Are we learning something here? I mean, yeah, you do what you gotta do.
Why is the back of the government building blockaded?
We get some riots here. We're ticked off. The people of Puerto Rico are ticked off with these guys, man. So it's the best thing they did. You know, ladies. We call this area President's Row. A few presidents, I can name them. The first one will be Teddy Roosevelt. Next to him will be Herbert Hoover. Next to him is Franklin Delano Roosevelt with his dog, all bronze, mind you. After Roosevelt, Truman. After Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, LBJ, Ford, and Obama. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Hector, where are the other presidents? Why are they here? Well, the reason why is because aside from these presidents creating laws that only help the people of the United States and Puerto Rico, they're the only presidents who took their time to come to Puerto Rico while they were president of the United States. In other words, you don't see a president there, they never came. I could care less. But anyway, I just thought I want you to know that. That's why they're here, because they tell me, where are the other ones? That's why. They came. Nobody else came. I'm going to give you 500 years of history in a matter of minutes. First of all, I want you to know that this island was discovered by Columbus. That guy actually lived here, man. He found this island on his second voyage. Did you know that this guy had 4 trips to the New World before he died? 4 trips. You think that after the first trip, he had enough? Must have been a masochist. Did it 4 times. On his second voyage, he discovered this island. November the 19th, 1493 is our discovery date. Let's get that straight. When Columbus arrived here on that day, he didn't call it Puerto Rico. First name, San Juan Bautista, St. John the Baptist. San Juan, St. John, that name now holds true for the old city and the metropolitan area. Okay? But in 1509, the king and queen of Star, I can imagine, we gotta send somebody to Puerto Rico. But Columbus is there. But he's busy discovering things. We gotta send somebody else. So in 1509, the king and queen sent Juan Ponce de Leon to be the first one to Puerto Rico. And of course, he's more popularly known for the guy who tried to find the fountain of youth. But I'm gonna tell you something. If it wasn't for the desire and the tenacity that gentleman had of trying to find such a thing that don't exist, the city now known as St. Augustine would have never been established at the time it was, making it the oldest city established in the continental United States. But it's the second oldest city under the U.S. flag. Because what's the first?
Come on.
Among many things that Juan Ponce de Leon did, one of the things he did was to change the name from St. John the Baptist to Puerto Rico, the name that is stuck to this very day. The word Puerto Rico means rich ports. Rich ports he was referring to is where your ship is docked at right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a military fortress, fighting all the time, but it also served as a center of trades and goods and riches and wealth between the old and new world. It became a rich port. It became Puerto Rico. So that's how the name derived. 405 years of Spanish rule. 1493, 1898. A long time, man. What's left of that history is me, my name, my language, and my religion. Reflects that history. 1898, Spanish-American War takes place. You ever heard of that war, folks? The United States against Spain or vice versa? 1898, that war lasted 3 months. In 3 months, we became part of the United States, just like that. Not bad. No filibusters. Boom. Now that was in 1898, we became part of the United States. However, it wasn't until March the 2nd of 1917, less than 20 years later, that the government of the United States granted the people of this island U.S. citizenship. What does that mean in the year 2022? It means that every man, woman, and child on this island, and those being born at this very moment on this island, is as American as apple pie.
Yeah.
With a side order of rice and beans, okay? Can't forget the rice and beans, Jack. We're pretty proud of that, folks. Don't kid yourselves. Folks, we're not only the only Latin American country that's part of the United States, but we're one of the few places on the planet where you can be born a U.S. citizen, be as American as apple pie, without having to be born in the United States. That's Puerto Rico. As a matter of fact, any child that you may see in the streets of Puerto Rico may not have too much food. Parents may not straight knees, dirty fingernails, walking barefoot. That kid can become president of the United States because he was born and raised here. That's Puerto Rico. We're proud of it. Believe me, it could have been worse.
That's the price of our gasoline. I never lie.
$105.
No, $1.05. Un peso con 5 centavos.
$1, it's per liter. I'm sorry, I just wanted to pull your leg. I see one lady there say, I can't get this. It doesn't compute.
How is it getting $1? It's per liter. You take any price of gasoline, you multiply it by 3.8.
All four. And you have the equivalent of a gallon of gasoline in dollars and cents. $1.05 times 4, $4.20. We're averaging here $4.20. Plantains, avocado, mango, papaya, breadfruit. You know what a breadfruit is? It's a potato that grows on trees. Spices. All this grows in my backyard. I supplement my diet and my income with the weather and the backyards. I'll go to a supermarket and buy me a nice steak. But the trimmings, I get it from my backyard. I'll take a mango puree and pour it. You ever tried a mango puree and a T-bone steak? And let me tell you something, you'll never go back to ketchup again. I'm serious. Anyway, we just left the old city. We're in Puerto Rico now. And you probably say to yourself, but is this San Juan in Puerto Rico? It is because of 3 bridges that connect to it. But without the bridges, San Juan, the old city, is a separate landmass. It's not connected. To your left, ladies and gentlemen, the area that you see to your left, all those buildings, is the hotel area of the island, La Área Hotelera de Puerto Rico. The name of that area to your left, in Spanish, El Condado. El Condado. Can you repeat that? El Condado. Muy bien. Which means the word condado in English means county. The county. But it sounds pretty nice in Spanish, don't you think? Huh? El Condado. You know, I can get a girlfriend saying that. And all I said was the county in Spanish. That's Spanish for you. I want you to know that on this island, you will not graduate out of high school around here unless, among other things, you better be reading, writing, and speaking both Spanish and English. Why? This island is a bilingual country. Our official language on this island is both Spanish and English. The one has been spoken for 500 some odd years, another one's from 120 years. They're both on an even keel. They're both treated equal. And we speak them both. One speak one better than the other, whatever, but we speak them both. And if you're not reading and writing and speaking both languages by the time you graduate, you don't graduate. As simple as that. Tan sencillo como eso. Listen to me well. This area is an exclusive area. Es una área exclusiva. This is an exclusive area of Puerto Rico. It is said that 70% of all hotel accommodations, which is right here, where we're at right here, this covers 70% of all hotel accommodation. 30% right here. Should be just the opposite, huh?
Why?
Okay, so they like it here. It's close to everything. Hector campo. A lot of these places are like really remote. I live, like I said, in the mountains, but I'm not too far away from the metropolitan area. You know, people always ask me, Hector, how do I get to your house? And I got friends. I give them instructions, got law. I tell them, listen, next time when you get the smell of cow patty, you're close to my house. Make it easy on you. A condominium in this area or a home would run you anywhere between $350,000 to $400,000. But mind you, that's not too bad when you consider that only are they pretty and the beach is right across the street over there, and you have hotels and beaches and restaurants and casinos, and on top of all that, the building that you bought, whether it's a condominium or home, is also made out of concrete and iron. You got your money's worth there. Now this is no tourist attraction, what I'm going to point out to you. But right here's a Walgreens. Wherever you see a Walgreens, what do you see?
CVS.
CVS.
That is close.
Yes, ma'am. Practically across the street.
Yeah, I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, though this area is known as the Condado, this street, which is an avenue, is known as Ashford Avenue, named after a doctor who came here about 150, 175 years ago to take care of the poor people of Puerto Rico. His home is still in this street, it's a museum now. But it's known as Ashford Avenue. But on a Friday, Saturday night, this area is the equivalent to your Rodeo Drive, your Hollywood Boulevard, your Herald Square, your Times Square in New York. Never a dull moment here. Never. Now, sorry about the rain. I hope it's not raining when I'm going to drop you guys off, because I'm going to give you a half hour at a certain spot to do whatever you like. But one thing I do recommend, that you guys use the restrooms. Now, go slow here. This hotel to your right, for instance. In the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, in its heyday, this hotel was the equivalent of Copacabana, Tropicana, Cuba. The name of it is La Concha. La Concha. A concha is Spanish for conch. You know what a conch is?
Yes.
It's that giant shell that the Polynesians use to make a sound. That's a conch. It's named after that shell. They're renewing whatever. It's something. But it's called La Concha. If anybody needs to use a restroom, you can go in there. Bathrooms are luxurious, folks. If you go in there, when you go inside, go straight to the back. That's where the restrooms are at. We're between two hotels. It depends on how close we are between one or the other. Because we're going to be stopping in a few minutes, in a minute or two right now. Okay? ¿Está lloviendo? Párate aquí. Párate entre medio. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me well. This stop here, which is one of the stops we have to make, in Spanish is known as Ventana al Mar. The word ventana with a V, ventana is window. Mal, sea. So it's Ventana al Mar, window to the sea. This is a gorgeous area. Waffle place. Got public bathrooms here too if you can use them. A little bar, some ice cream parlors, nice beach. Do whatever you like here. I recommend the restrooms, whether it's La Concha or the one down. But we're closer to this one. I suggest you go there. Watch your step, it's a little wet, what have you.
It's a pretty nice tour. Tour guide, his name's Hector. He's really cool. So if y'all are lucky enough to get Hector, or if you see the one that he's in the videos, he's very informative, very energetic, really fun, knowledgeable, etc. So if you happen to go on this tour, try to get the one with Hector because he seems to know everybody and has the most knowledge, in my opinion. So we're heading towards the beach. We got a little pit stop to go to the restroom and enjoy the sights for like 30 minutes, and then we'll continue the tour. All right, so we did a little bit of walk here at the beach. So I guess if you really wanted to, you could get off the ship and not take a tour guide and just come here, lay out by the beach, and enjoy the day. Water looks pretty rough. Well, that was the beach view. Now we're like a little square.
With all the hotels. But it could have been. Yeah, I'm gonna get my jacket out so that it can start pouring rain next time. I got some.
It kind of has that look of Elton John, but I don't see that, no. I don't think that's the same hairstyle. Serafina. Necesito practicar mi español. It dice Serafina. I bet y'all didn't know I could speak Spanish, did you?
They have to look at that. It's Toddville. I think I'm gonna get those don't die.
Shops, liquor. The rain kind of shut down a lot of things outside. Yeah, I did. We're at the La Concha. Must be a casino too. That thing's here. Yeah, there is a casino. That's another. Watch out, that's one big woman there. Some pretty cool, like, feather artwork, metal. Good little pit stop. La Concha Hotel in Puerto Rico, and yes, they have a casino. We're not going to have the time to go in there and check it out, but if y'all get off the ship and y'all don't really want to do any of the tours, you just want to gamble some more, there you go. It's tucked in there in the Concha Hotel and Casino. Just take a taxi or
Railroad tracks, railroad route throughout the United States. Anyway, make a long story short, he had this built in 1919. In 2001, it was restored inside to make it look like it did in 1919, brand new. And in 2012, Gloria Vanderbilt, who I got the chance to meet, she was alive then. She's the great-granddaughter of Cornelius Vanderbilt. She was in a wheelchair. I was standing next to her, about 2 people around. Cut the ribbon to that hotel, inaugurated it again, and the rest, as they say, is history. Today, the one that's in charge, or has a say, is her only surviving son. His name is Anderson Cooper. Okay? So that hotel has a lot of history of the Vanderbilts. It's a Vanderbilt influence all over. But what a beautiful day, man. Huh? It was raining earlier, now it's a beautiful day. That's Puerto Rico.
When did she die? 2 years ago? Or?
Oh God, it's a few years ago. I know in 2012 she was alive, so it was not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't think it was too long, yeah. I knew about Anderson Cooper being a son.
Ahí en el medio hay un lago, ¿no?
Sí, lo va a ver más detallado ahora. Yeah, we have a lot of body of water here. I want to show you something here. Going down this strip, by the way, there's never a dull moment here. On a weekend, forget about it. You know, everybody's out on a lark. Now, these 2 buildings, one to your left, the rock wall, that building, and this one to your right, these 2 buildings are one hotel, connected by an overhead tunnel. The name of it is El Condado Plaza, the Condado Plaza Hotel. Gorgeous, beautiful.
Need some restoration.
Okay. In the 1970s, history was done here. There was the tightrope walking family called the Great Wallendas. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Of course.
Nick Wallenda. Well, their grandfather, his name was Carl Wallenda. In the 1970s, I think it was 76, 79, I'm not sure, he crossed these 2 buildings. He was an old man, but he died. He fell to his death in the streets, and then his grandson accomplished the feat in his name. Now take a look at this area here. One of 365 beaches. Look at this spot right here. Little corner of the world, if you will. Look at this, look at this. Ain't that pretty? Now the boulders that you see to your right, those boulders that you see to your right, is what's left over of a giant blockade that was put there by the Spanish Empire so that no other empire penetrate. But after the 500 years or so of the elements of nature hitting this area, hurricanes, earthquakes, what have you, that's what's left. Okay? And the wall that surrounds the city of San Juan starts in that fortress there, which is known as San Jerónimo. El Fuerte San El Fortín, the little fortress, Saint Geronimo. To your left, El Caballero was mentioning this body of water to your left. Una laguna. It's a lagoon. Now, you see people kayaking? Folks, tomorrow's Good Friday. Today is the day, the eve of Good Friday. So people are not working, no school, what have you. People are out here having a good time. Kayaking, all kinds of non-motorized sports. Unfortunately, we have to get back. But before we go, I want to show you a few other things, okay?
These hotels have casinos, most of them, or
Oh, but
casinos?
we used to have a lot more. Union disputes or what have you. We still have a few, but not as many as we used to. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you something here. We're now entering again the second oldest city ever established in the New World. You remember what I told you? This is a separate island. That bridge was one of three to enter the old city. Now, as we make this turn, I want you to take a look at the building you're about to see to your left. That building that you see to your left is the highest court in the land. El Tribunal Supremo de Puerto Rico, the Supreme Court of Puerto Rico. Let me tell you something about this. It was established in 1952. The same year our Constitution was established. Make a long story short, it is the equivalent to any state Supreme Court of the United States. As you well know, every state of the United States has a Supreme Court. They call it a state Supreme Court. This is the equivalent to a state Supreme Court. And why? Because the last word here is also the United States Supreme Court. The last word. And by the way, while we're at it here, I'm going to tell you something. Today, we are very proud in Puerto Rico that today one of the members of the United States Supreme Court, she's from here. Yeah. A little Spanish girl by the name of Sonia Sotomayor.
Sotomayor.
Yeah. And let me tell you a little story about that young lady. Okay, Bill. How do I know that? Aside from history, look at the stones that cover the perimeter. Look at the stones, these stones here that cover the perimeter of this park. Those stones are what was left over from building the fortresses. When the fortresses were done, then they built this. But it was built with the concept of romance in mind. A place that the soldiers could bring their girlfriends. This was a war zone area. These guys fell in love. They fell in love with girls. They had nowhere to go. They built this park for themselves for that. That's why the stones that were left over built this park. So, and then the children's area came in later. The park's name is Luis Muñoz Rivera Park. Luis Muñoz Rivera. Papi, va a tener que salir de aquí lo más rápido posible. Eso es. It's good. It's Good Thursday, so this is what happens. I hate to see tomorrow. Muy bien. Las playas, another beach. There's beaches all over the place. May they be British, French, Dutch, or even Spanish. The problem is that about 20 miles off the northern coast, here is a trench, one of the deepest parts of the world. We call it colloquially the Puerto Rican Trench. But it's about 20 miles off the northern coast, and most of those ships have fallen down there to the abyss. Who discovered the island?
Oh,
Columbus.
Who was the first governor? What was the first name of this island? Who gave the name Puerto Rico?
What's that?
You're batting 1,000 so far. I'm not gonna make it any tougher. By the way, I will tell you this: that our island is the smallest island of the larger islands in the Caribbean. Folks, I want you to know that in the Caribbean, there are only 4 big islands. Those islands today are known as Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. Of all the big islands, we're the smallest. They're known as the major Antilles. Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. Can anybody tell me what the island of Hispaniola is today?
Haiti.
And? Muy bien. Haiti and the Dominican Republic? 2 separate countries?
Yes.
Share one island. But when you refer to that island as a whole, as one island, island of Hispaniola. And oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Santo Domingo is the first city ever established in the New World. Santo Domingo fue la primera ciudad colonizada en el Nuevo Mundo. We're the second. Anyway, enough history. My God. Folks, did you have a good time?
Yes.
Really? Did you? Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
All right, so the tour guide dropped us off. Hector, if you're watching this, kind of told him that I was making a YouTube video, but good job on the tour guide situation. They do have the shops, and I did already buy some things. You can barter with them. So yes, if they ask 65, they will take 60. And there are some knockoff Ray-Bans, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, all the type of good stuff that you might be tempted to buy. And that's what we're doing, kind of shopping, meandering around before the ship is due to depart. And there we go, so we're really close. You just jump across anytime we want to. There's actually a lot of really like pop-up kiosk tent areas if you just walk around. And yes, they do barter, so whatever they say, do not take that price as concrete. We'll meander through here and see what they have. Jewelry stands. A lot of like food truck situations, it looks like.
They have little trucks too along here.
Yeah. What is this? Handcrafted fresh local coconuts and pineapples. Oh, that kind of looks good. Look at the views, man. Well,
I don't see too much. I'm gonna go out of here.
there's still more up there. A sangria margarita for those that are tempted. It's pretty damn good.
Rapio and Sonia, they probably know.
Like all the artwork they have hanging around. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like all that. Look at this guy, the girl. Look at the girl on the sand that looks. The water isn't as pretty in Puerto Rico as it is in
Right by the landing of the ship. Checking out a couple more of these side shops. back in. We're on the Oasis of the Seas. This was our stop at Puerto Rico. I did do a video for each other port, which was in Nassau, Bahamas, and St. Thomas. And then our last video will be out of Labradee, Haiti. So if you want to go on the Oasis of the Seas and see this port but the others, I have video of all 4 that I did. Back on board the ship. Hopefully you had a good time checking out Puerto Rico. Don't forget the like button if you liked the video, learned something, had a good time watching. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye, guys. Well, there you go, guys. That is the port that you come to when you visit San Juan, Puerto Rico.